What surprised you the most? Macro or micro? Within where one song went, or within where the
that I could have a hot streak like that. That I could still, I was pleasantly surprised that I could write a song every 2 days and not be discouraged, but thinking, well, that's got to be the last one, you know. I was surprised that I could keep a mentality that consistent, but I think I quarantined myself from having a mentality that would change my mind. This was a very singular, had a very singular direction to this record. So I'm kind of surprised that I could stick to my guns for that long without saying, well, what about sampling something on this song? You know, I was just surprised that it worked. It just worked, man. You know.
Any of the songs go somewhere that you really didn't foresee?
Yeah, there's a song called "If I Ever Get Around to Living," which was the last song that I wrote for the record, and it was absolutely where I was most in fighting shape for songwriting, and that is an example of not second-guessing anything. Bring any idea into the world. And I think I had listened to like Wooden Ships by Crosby, Stills and Nash, and I think that inspired the idea of like the suite. And the song was one way on one day, and it was at the end of If I Ever Get Around to Living, that first part, it was just going to go into the end of the song. And then I woke up the next one day, and we'd all gone out for a long time that night, and I woke up the next day and had this unique perspective on the world after going out in New York City and waking up a little banged up. And I'm not saying that I would ever use it as a device to write, but I kind of had this like total free thinking hat on. So the second part of the song kicked in, you know, the maybe it's all, and then I thought that was it. I thought no, go, and there was a third part. Just wrote. I mean, I don't have it anymore because it's so fleeting. You have to do it to, you know, you have to sit down and write 2 pages a night to be able to write 2 pages a night. And if you don't, it disappears. And so at that point, I had written so many songs and had brought in so many ideas. I had just gotten so good at the pulley from idea to conception that was deep. And I still listen to it and go, there's stuff in there I'm just catching now. You know, I think you better wise up, boy. Like, where does that come from if not just from being so vulnerable and comfortable with yourself that you don't shoot ideas down before you have them? You know, that won't work. It's the worst thing you can ever say. That didn't work is cool, but that won't work is not a way to go through life. And there were plenty of things that didn't work, but there was nothing that won't work, you know.
So if I just quoted to somebody, my favorite thing my father ever told me, he said, if you try something that doesn't work, you didn't waste that time.
Right.
Whatever it is, job, moved city, whatever, like now you don't have to worry about.
Right.
Maybe that's what it should have been.
That's right. But that takes such balls, man, and I don't have them all the time. I don't. What I need to figure out now is like, how can I make a record and keep the guy that was? If you think about it, you make a record, and then you go out and you get poked and prodded, and you have to sell that guy away because you've got to be fast on your feet. You know, an interview is completely different from songwriting. Songwriting, you're encouraged to say anything off the top of your head. Interviews, you try not to, you know. And so where you get very good at representing yourself, you get pretty bad at exploring yourself. And so where I'm at right now is like, I'm at a time, you know, not being able to sing, I'm doing everything I can to look at it as its own mini blessing that may not have been redeemed yet as a blessing. Just write these records. And it's, in a way, a gift that I don't have to go through this obligatory run where I forget who that guy was that made those songs. So I get to talk to you now, being really, really sensitive to what the world around me is, instead of coming in and sort of hotshotting it. You know, I have no reason to be a hotshot. I have all the reason in the world to just go make another one of these, you know, and just keep going deep. And if that means, you know, not being the world's greatest conversationalist or confusing people a little bit, I assure you it's only so that I'm on my right path, so that when this is over and when I can sing again and when I say I'd like to take a little stock out of writing all the time, I can point to some records and say, but that was my run, you know. And I think I have the first record of a run if I choose to work hard enough. This could be one of those moments you get one in life. You get one in life where you're at the smartest you've been before you begin to change your lifestyle so that you can be a little more consistent and bring happiness to other people in your personal life. So I feel like this is the confluence of events between figuring out a lot of stuff, but still also being really run and gun. I'm still very flexible. I can still go anywhere I want. I'm still happy to sleep under any table in the world if it means that I'm somewhere I can pull a song out of. And I don't think I'll be forever in that zone, and so I'm just making a run of it, you know.
Especially when you're in that productive. I mean, I remember talking to Prince about it a long time ago, but he was like, I make a record, and by the time it's out, I made another record. And by the time I'm having to tour it, I made another record.
Good for him.
Now, that's him working like that, but if you're in that place, you don't have to spend the next whatever number of months staying on this one and staying in that place.
It's such a weird place. And maybe if it were less weird, I'd be more worried, but it's so weird that it should be taken advantage of. You know, I mean, this is unconventional, to say the least. I don't think I'd ever actually go through with saying, hey, I want to put this record up, but I don't want to tour. I love touring. You know, this band was sounding amazing before I had to call it. And so it'll come together. I have assurances that it'll be fine. And in the meantime, you know, I'm really interested in breaking the mold of thinking. Really interested in saying, okay, I've already been dropped off the beaten path. So I can either stay here where I can hear the highway or just run all the way into sort of the depth of this. And the depth of this is like quiet and uncertain, but really beautiful, though. I'm at this point in my life where I've made this really beautiful record. And maybe the answer to your question of was there one song, instead of songs, if you look at records, Born and Raised is the record that says this is where the tone of your career is now, you know. So if you don't like the direction of Born and Raised, you may want to think about taking a few years off from listening, because I have proof that it's worth exploring. It's worth not saying it's not going to work. And maybe that's uncomfortable. I'm patently uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable talking to you about this. I'm uncomfortable not being on the road. I'm uncomfortable with all of it. But if it weren't for being able to write about it, I'd be lost. But I get to this is a field trip, you know.